Hey guys, namaste. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm going to share with you the techniques to analyze a Varga chart. Now, this is a question that I've been asked many times in the past. So, and here I am giving you the details. Now, it's going to be a long one, right? It may be a little bit convoluting, right? So, if you don't understand, please re-listen to this video. Or if you're in doubt, you can always post a comment for me to respond back to you. Okay, so a Varga chart is a divisional chart, right? It's also called as the AMSA. AMSA means division, right? So you have the main chart, which is the Rasi, the D1. That is the extracts of that. If you dissect that chart, the D1, the Rasi chart, then you have all these Varga charts. So in total there are 16 Varga charts. Of course, to talk about its grouping, its deities, its mathematics and all that will take a long time. So probably I'll cover in different videos, but for now there are 16 different Varga charts divided into, I think, 4 parts. You have the physical part, you have the physiology, you have the psychology, you have the ancestral, right? And you have the mysterious one, the D60. And so back to the question, how do you check, or what are the things that you need to check in the Varga chart for deep analysis? We all know that the Varga chart is used for deep analysis, right? I'm going to give you an example. Say someone comes to me and say, Prakash, we've been trying to have a baby for many years now. We have seen many doctors, alternative therapies, medicines, yogas and pujas and whatever, right? Nothing seems to be working. We are still left without a child. What can we do? Okay, so if a question, when a querent poses a question like that, it is of high importance. It requires a great amount of detail, correct? And so what I will do is I will check the Varga chart. Okay, let's go with this example throughout the video. The Varga chart here that I'm talking about is the D7 Varga chart, because it's about child. The D7 is called the Saptamsa. Sapta means 7, Amsa means division, right? So we need to look at the Saptamsa chart. And so what are the things that we need to look at? So let me see, how can I put this? Okay, let's start with the Rasi thing. You have the Rasi chart, right? The D1, all right? There are 3 things you need to check and map against the D7. Let's take the D7 in this example, okay? So the first thing is the Lagna, right? The Lagna is the first thing. We need to look at the Lagna in the D1, and we need to look at, say the Lagna is in the sign of Aries, okay? It's in the sign of Aries. So the Aries in the D7 needs to be assessed, needs to be looked at, needs to be thoroughly checked. Okay, that's the first thing. Now the second thing is the Lagnesh. Lagnesh is basically the Lagna lord of your D1. You see in this example, the Lagna was in Mesha, in Aries, and its lord is Mars. So Mars needs to be checked in the D7 thoroughly. Okay. Next we need to check is the Atma Karaka. We all know Atma Karaka is one's soul's craving. What is your soul's objective? What is its mission? What is it trying to accomplish in this birth, in this life? That's what the Atma Karaka is, a highly important element and highly important thing that we need to check. Okay, so what is your Atma Karaka in your D1? Say for example, if it's Saturn, then Saturn needs to be thoroughly assessed and checked in the Saptamsa chart. Okay. The third thing we need to check is the Amsha Vargotama. Now we all know Vargotama is when you have the same sign, the Graha in the same sign, right? Basically, it's called the Rasi Vargotama. So Vargotama is defaulted always to the D9. The checking or the matching is always done with the D1 and the D9. That's what Vargotama is. Say for example, you have the sun in the sign of Pisces, for example. And if you look at the Navamsa, you also have sun in Pisces, and that is a map. That is a mapping done there. The bridge is connected between D1 and D9. So that's called the Rasi Vargotama. And then you have the Bhava Vargotama. Say if you have the Jupiter in the third, probably not a good example. Say Jupiter in the fourth. Jupiter fourth in the Rasi and Jupiter in the fourth in the Navamsa created a bridge there, and that is called the Bhava Vargotama. So Vargotama is exclusively used for Navamsa. However, there is another thing that we need to look at is the Amsha Vargotama. Amsha Vargotama, I'm not sure if it's available in the net. You can do a search, but this is what I've been doing for many years now, and it has been proved useful in my analysis. The prediction level has been very high, so you can always use this Amsha Vargotama, which means the same thing. The Rasi is bridge and the Bhava is bridge, but this time not the Navamsa but the D7. If you have again the same example, the Sun in Pisces and in the Rasi, and you have Sun in Pisces in the D7 in the Saptamsa, the bridge is associated. Then you need to really focus in Pisces and the Sun in the D7. Okay, so as you can see there, it's building more and more things, right? So this is for the Rasi. This is one part. There's more to come. It is not easy to analyze this Varga. Next is on the Rasi itself, on the D7, on the Varga itself, we need to look at the what we call as the mapping of the Karya Rasi. Karya Rasi is the extension from whichever house we're looking. In this example, we're looking at the Saptamsa, right? The Saptamsa, the D7, is actually stemmed or actually being birthed or being created from the 5th house. Remember, the 5th house excuse me, is the house of children, progeny. It's called as Putra Bhava, house of child. Putra literally means children. So Putra actually means a male child, but I mean, we look at it as a children or child. So Putra Bhava in the 5th, the amplification of that is the D7, the Saptamsa, right? And so that is the Karya Rasi, the 5th house, the Rasi of the 5th house. In this example, let's say if it's in the sign of the 5th house in the Rasi is in the sign of, say, maybe Karkataka, right? Cancer. And that Cancer or Karkataka is the Karya Rasi. So we need to look at the D7's Karkataka or Cancerian sign to do deep analysis to find out what's going on, because they are bridged, they are associated, right? Same thing. After looking at the Karya Rasi, you need to look at the Karyasha. Karyasha is nothing but the Lord of the Karya Rasi. In this case, the example was given as Cancer. Cancer's Lord is the Moon. So the Moon needs to be thoroughly assessed and analyzed in the D7. Okay. The next thing we need to look at is Navamsa. Navamsa, of course, besides the fact that Navamsa is used for dharma or past lives, for partnership and sins and deeds and all that, but it also has a functional purpose. The D9, the grahas in the D9 shows its exact strength and dignity, the power of the grahas. So we need to check against the Navamsa's grahas in the D7's grahas, the D7 grahas, the planets in D7. You need to check against the D9's grahas to see, if they are in correlation, if there's any kind of a changes there. Okay, that's about the Navamsa. Next, let me see. I think you need to check. You need to check the houses, obviously, in the Varga chart. Of course, the same thing applies. 6, 8, 12 are the Dushtanas, the 1, 4, 7, 10 are the Kendras, the 1, 5, 9 the Trikonas. All these houses, Upashayas, all these houses needs to be assessed, right? Apart from that, you need to look at the Marana Karakastanas, and I've talked about it before. Marana Karakastana is a scheme where a graha becomes dysfunctional totally. It sort of loses its power, its potency when it goes to certain houses. For example, Venus in the 6th. Venus is all about pleasure seeking, love, art, karma, desire and all that, passion and all that, love and all that. The 6th is the house of service, servitude, and our responsibility. Is two different things. It's opposite actually in its nature. So what happens when Venus goes to the 6th? It becomes dysfunctional. That's just one example. Saturn in the 1st, Sun in the 12th, Jupiter in the 3rd, and so on and so forth, right? These are the Mercury in the 7th, Mars in the 7th, and all these are Marana Karakasthanas. So you have to ensure that the D7 doesn't have any Marana Karakasthanas. If it has, then you need to focus on that and see why it's having that and what is the reason and how it's going to be affecting the end prediction. As you can see, we have not started the prediction yet. It is just the prerequisites, the details that you need to go through in order for you to build to the prediction. Okay, yeah, and last, certainly not the least, is the Astangata. Astangata is combustion. If you have a graha in a proximity towards the sun, there are calculations for this. There are rules to follow. If it's the longitude comes to a very close proximity to the sun, let's say the common ones will be Mercury. So if you have grahas coming close to the sun, and if it's too close, then it diminishes the power of the graha, right? It's called Astangata, or it's normally called as combustion, right? So you need to check if there's any kind of Astangata happening in the D7 or not. So guys, those are the prerequisites that you require in order for you to build a prediction from that. You need to have those data first. I know it sounds a lot, I know it sounds a bit convoluting, but trust me, in due time this comes for you naturally. You know, initially I had to struggle as well, years ago when I started to learn. But of course, after thousands of charts, you know, it has become very easy, right? It's very easy to get the data. Prediction is a bit complex, but getting the data is straightforward. It's easy, right? So I hope this video is beneficial for you. If any questions, I'm sure you would have, and put it in the comments. I'll be very happy to respond back to you. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Take care and God bless you.